lives when we face a crossroad. For members of the United States gymnastics team, this is a time to look back at where they've been and look forward to where they still can go. The dream of a third Olympic appearance is alive for Shannon Miller. The journey continues for 16-year-old Dominique Moceanu. And Dominique Dawes believes she's on course to reach Sydney as well. Amy Chow has chosen the route of higher education, though her gymnastics remains at its peak. And 96 team captain Amanda Borden is moving on with her life, retiring from gymnastics competition. For the American men, two-time national champion Blaine Wilson has designs on leading the U.S. team toward a medal in the year 2000. And veteran John Roethlisberger hopes that his career has room for one more Olympic moment. Today, these journeys cross paths. Welcome to the CBS Sports Spectacular. We are in Toledo, Ohio, on the shores of the Maumee River. Inside the Toledo Sports Arena, it's the ERA World Professional Gymnastics Championships. Hello, everyone. I'm Andrea Joyce. Thanks for joining us. In the gymnastics world, we are at the critical halfway point. 2 years after the Olympic Games in Atlanta and 2 years before the Games in Sydney. Now, many of the world-class gymnasts who have gathered here in Toledo for this two-day competition are in the midst of making major career decisions, trying to determine whether or not to continue on as competitors. Included in the women's field, a perfect example, two-time Olympian Shannon Miller, still uncertain if she will go after a third appearance in the year 2000. And on the men's side, another two-time Olympian, John Roethlisberger. At age 27, though, he definitely has his sights set on Sydney. And joining me now to help call this competition, 1984 Olympic gold medalist Peter Vidmar and Julianne McNamara. Julianne, last week in Lowell, Massachusetts, we saw the women compete at a very high level. What do you expect to see here today?
The same high level, plus the gymnasts are adding even more difficulty trying to improve their routines for a number of different reasons. Dominique Moceanu, she has stated that she is training for the Olympic Games in Sydney. After growing 5 inches, it's been an adjustment period for her, but she's finally getting back to her old form. And Shannon Miller, the most decorated American gymnast ever. She's undecided whether she'll train for the Games in Sydney, but it's apparent that she has left the door open. She's in extremely great shape and competing very well.
And a lot of questions still to be answered. And Peter, on the men's side, 5 of the competitors here in Toledo were on the 5th place team in Atlanta, and that has kept many of them very motivated for the future.
And even more motivated after their showing at the World Gymnastics Championships. Less than 1 point away from winning a medal at the World Championships, the U.S. team has been led by Blaine Wilson. Clearly one of the best all-around performers in the world now. He's proven himself in many competitions, especially a convincing victory at the recent American Cup. John Roethlisberger also has some choices to make. He's chosen to go on to Sydney, but it's going to be a little tougher road for him. Let's see today if he can regain that form that made him the top U.S. gymnast for many years.
Here are the rules for this event. This is a 2-day competition. The women will compete in 5 rotations, the men in 6. Will work under modified NCAA rules. All the scores are combined to determine a men's and women's all-around champion. Today, the women will start on vault, and then they'll move over to the uneven bars and conclude day 1 on the floor. First up on the vault, Yelena Prodanova, 18-year-old Russian. She won the bronze medal at the all-around competition at last year's World Championships, and she's considered by many to be one of the most exciting gymnasts in the world.
And that's because she's very aggressive. Look at the fast run. She'll vault a half-on, half-off layup front. Little problem on the landing, but a good vault.
Keep your eye on Prodanova in this competition. She always delights the crowd with her exciting, daring combinations.
Well, she's so strong. Look at the push off the horse. A little bent form in the air. That'll be a slight deduction. You can see here, as she pushes off the horse, her form breaks.
Prodanova won the gold medal in vault at the Russian Cup in last year's competition.
Ladies and gentlemen, the vault score for Yelena.
And for that vault, Prodanova scores a 9.65. Next up on the vault, Amy Chow. Amy was a member of the 1996 Olympic gold medal team, the first back in Toledo, Shannon Miller and Amy Chow tied for the lead. Let's welcome in Scott Lasky. He's backstage with Shannon.
Shannon, this is deja vu. Last week, Lowell, Massachusetts, you and Amy, the two on top, and here you start off, the two of you on top again.
It's great. It's great to have her up there with me every event because it motivates me to do better and better and always kind of stay on my game. But really, every gymnast that's out there is helping me stay motivated because they're so good.
Is the fire still burning? Do you still feel the magic? Of course, you've got the Olympics 2000, the big question, whether or not you'll come back.
It is a big question. I've decided not to choose or decide really until the end of the year. I want to do competitions like this to make sure that I'm keeping in competition and making sure the spark is still there and keep training new skills along the way.
All right, thanks a lot. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Scott. Up next on the vault, Dominique Moceanu. Dominique was the youngest member of the 1996 gold medal Olympic team, just 14 years old in Atlanta. And since then, her life has been a bit of a roller coaster. 3 coaches in the last 22 months. She told me it has been frustrating at times, but she does feel like she's adjusting and making lots of progress as she continues to train for some big events down the road.
We saw her in Lowell last week have some difficulties. Let's see how today goes for her. She'll vault a Yurchenko vault in a laid-out position with a full twist. A beautiful vault.
Dominique Moceanu looking toward the Goodwill Games later this year, as well as the National Championships in Indianapolis in August.
And she's really improved on this event. She's showing more power, greater height and distance. She has great form in the air. Look how straight her body is.
The crowd chanting for a 10 for Moceanu. And she looks a lot happier. A 9-9 for Dominique Moceanu. So she's tied right now with Shannon Miller and Amy Chow. Here's Svetlana Boginskaya, 25 years old, a 3-time Olympian. Svetlana was just 15 when she competed in 1988 for the USSR. Then in 1992, it was for the unified team. 1996, Belarus. So 3 Olympics representing 3 different teams. She had retired in 1992, but launched a comeback in 1995 under the tutelage of Bella Caroli.
And watch this, Yurchenko, half off, front layout. Took that step back.
Svetlana Boginskaya won the gold medal at the 1988 Olympics on vault.
She doesn't get the real big push off the horse. And her body's slightly piked. See from the side her body position, her hips are behind her.
It's amazing to see her out here considering she's 9 years older than Moceanu, a 9.85 for Boginskaya. Now set to vault, Amanda Borden, 21 years old, captain of the 1996 gold medal team. She's a freshman right now at Mount St. Joseph's College. This is her last competition.
And she'll do a nice, clean, handspring front vault. Not a very difficult vault, but very well executed.
Amanda Borden looking for some encouragement from the crowd.
She's always known for her great, clean form.
Amanda's added a lot of other stuff to her life since the Olympics, commercials, public speaking, TV work, getting herself ready for life after gymnastics. 9.7 on the vault for Amanda Borden. The crowd not happy with that score, but Amanda, as always, is smiling through the competition. Last up on the vault, Dominique Dawes. Borden's teammate from 1996, a 3-time national champion on the vault. And talk about a world opening up to someone after the Olympics. For Dominique, she appeared on Broadway in the musical Grease. She was in a music video for the artist formerly known as Prince and has not retired. She is currently training for the Goodwill Games.
And she loves to be challenged. She's known as a risk taker. Handspring pike front vault.
Dominique Dawes, that's her longtime coach, Kelly Hill.
Watch the great height. Look how high she is in the air. She has a big step on the landing because she over-rotates so much. She's got so much power.
Like many of her teammates from '96, Dominique is taking classes, college classes, at the University of Maryland. And it's a 9.8 for Dawes. So after one rotation, how's this for a close competition? Shannon Miller, Dominique Moceanu, and Amy Chow all tied for first place with Svetlana Voganskaya right behind. Stay with us. The men's competition gets underway on the floor. We'll be back in a moment. Back at the ERA World Professional Gymnastics Championships, we are set to begin the men's competition. Once again, the men will compete in 6 rotations over the course of 2 days. Here are the 3 rotations for today. The men will start on the floor, move to pommel horse, and end the day on still rings. Here's Yevgeny Shabayev, 25 years old, from Moscow, Russia. He was the 1995 European all-around champion. And Peter Vidmar rejoins us now to call the men's competition.
Despite some setbacks, he's a very good gymnast. A lot of great difficult skills.
He has had a career filled with injuries, operations on his shoulder, wrist, and thumb. He says he doesn't want to quit because he's devoted so many years to this sport.
And you can tell that was a very easy double layout for his first pass. Front tumbling, front full, wow. Very difficult, a lot of combinations there. He gets a lot of extra bonus points by doing combination front flips like that. There's a required press to handstand. Notice the wide arms, much more difficult to press and to hold the handstand in that position.
Yevgeny has watched many of his friends leave Russia for more money and more opportunity. But he still lives at home with his parents.
Well, he still has some goals to reach here. He wants to go on to Sydney. Last tumbling pass. Full and back out. Very difficult at the end of the routine. Nicely landed. That should score very well. Great way to start the day. Now the finish at the very end of the routine is a full twisting double back flip. Takes a lot of stamina to be able to do this at the very end. No problem for him. Pulls in on the landing. Great job at the end.
And it's a 9.70 for Yevgeny Shabayev. Here's John McCready, ready to go on the floor. McCready was a member of the 1996 Olympic team that finished 5th in the team competition. Says that he still thinks of that experience just about every day.
And still a bright hope for USA Gymnastics leading up to Sydney. Little bobble on his first tumbling pass. Now these front tumbling passes actually allow the gymnast to get tremendous bonus points by doing consecutive punch front flips with twists. These combinations give them more points. There's a whip, layout 1.5 twist, punch, layout front.
We should point out that John was on medical rehab much of the winter. He underwent surgery on both shoulders in December, and boy, that must hurt right there.
And especially in a sport like gymnastics where you use the shoulder joint so much, especially in events like rings and on the horizontal bar, it can really affect the athlete. And even in training, just to be able to do good floor skills can be difficult if the shoulder's hurting. But he said he's actually on the right track. He thinks he's healing well, and this is a good test for him to kind of get his feet wet and get back into it. Ready for his last tumbling pass. Double tuck. He's not up to his full form right now. Not on floor.
John McCready, also a two-time member of the World Championship team, 1995 and 1997.
He finishes up with a round-off back handspring double tuck. Not too difficult. He's capable of doing double layouts, much more difficult skills. Makes it easily. And just trying to get back into form for competition.
And McCready scores a 9.60 on the floor. Here's Alexei Voropayev, 25 years old, from Moscow, Russia. Two-time Olympic gold medalist, member of winning teams in 92 and 96.
And one of the stalwarts of the Russian team. He's a great gymnast. Had his share of setbacks. Difficult mount, pulling back out. Made it easily. He's capable of doing more difficult tumbling than that. Let's see his front tumbling. Front layout, 1.5 twist. Here's a planche. Voropayev has had pneumonia, and coming off of this illness, this is the real test to see how he can finish a floor routine. This is the one event that requires the most stamina, so we'll see how he is at the very end of his performance.
He has simplified his goals. He says, I just want to win and receive medals and money. Sounds good to me.
Life should be that simple, shouldn't it? This is a little Y scale setting up for his final tumbling pass. And to round off by handspring. High layout full. Very simple, very easy skill. I guess he just didn't quite have the gas in his tank to finish a strong tumbling pass, and that's a result of probably of that pneumonia. Got a ways to go. Kind of sheepish about it, too. This first pass is a round-off back handspring, full twisting double back flip. The full twist comes in the very first flip, right there, into a back tuck at the end. He makes it easily. And his last one was a nice high layout full twist, but certainly not going to get any extra points from the judges. Very simple, basic skill. Nice to look at, but just not that hard.
And the judges were not impressed. A 9.30 for Alexei, and the crowd is booing that score. Again, they liked that last pass. They liked the height, but he didn't get the score from the judges. Stay with us. We'll see one of the rising stars in men's gymnastics, Blaine Wilson, up next. Welcome back to the Toledo Sports Arena. Here's how some of the other men did on the floor exercise.
Well, Andrea, Chris Waller, somewhat huffing and puffing at the end of this routine, was able to make it through a pretty decent routine. Finishing with a layout double twist. He's semi-retired from the sport, so this is a good effort for Chris. And Cheney Empey trying much more difficult tumbling combinations. Got in trouble on some front passes, had to put his hands down, took a big deduction. And Mihai Baju, also somewhat retired from the sport, was able to put through a halfway decent effort, some troubles in the routine. All he got was a 9.15.
And John Roethlisberger set to go on the floor now. He was 7th in the all-around in Atlanta. He's trained virtually his entire life under the guidance of his dad, Fred, also the coach at the University of Minnesota.
Fred's always had top teams at the University of Minnesota throughout his career coaching. John's been his best gymnast. There's a full in back out without grabbing his hands. Does it all open tuck. That shows very good technique in the air. Now, this is the one event that John said has been giving him some problems getting used to the new code of points. And this front tumbling pass helps him get extra points, but that bobble there is going to cost him. I talked to him before the event. He says this is the one event that he really is somewhat concerned about right now. He needs to kind of tighten up some of the difficulty and get a better score.
But he's shocked, though, at how well his body has been holding up through so many years of competing, 20 years.
And it's typically a young person's sport, and to think that if he goes on and makes the Olympic team in Sydney, he'll be 30 years old. That's geriatric gymnastics, basically, in the standards we have now. That's pretty old.
What does he add to this men's team with all of his experience and the years of technical steadiness.
Well, he also has he has a lot to offer the team. There's a dismount double back flip, but he has a tremendous amount to offer the team in terms of his experience in competition, and he's a good leader. I think that he has a great personality, gets along with everybody in the team, and he makes gymnastics fun. He works hard, he trains as hard as anybody in the world, but he has fun doing it. That's a good example for young gymnasts to know that no matter what they do, they can enjoy the sport at any level.
Let's get that, ladies and gentlemen, for John Roethlisberger.
Now, we made a mistake on his second tumbling pass, trying to earn these bonus points by doing consecutive front layouts. Here's his handspring, front layout, immediately into a front layout, to another one with a full twist, but doesn't quite get around, has to kind of fake his landing there, and the judges clearly are going to see that and take some points off.
Well, you're right, Peter. They did see it. The judges score Roethlisberger with a 9.5. 23-year-old Blaine Wilson on the floor now. Full name is Blaine Carew Wilson, named for Blaine Nye, a former Dallas Cowboy guard, and his middle name, Rod Carew.
Well, he's making a name for himself in gymnastics, one of the tops in the world. Uses the front tumbling well. Front layout, full twist, front layout, 1.5 twist. Easily done. That's the way it needs to be done. He gets extra bonus points. He makes use of the rules. You don't see a lot of difficult back tumbling anymore in men's floor exercise because they know they can get more points by doing this. May not be as exciting, but it gives them the points they need by doing the combinations. Once again, here he goes. Round off whip, layout, 1.5 twist, punch front layout. Those bounder combinations give the points.
Blaine competed at Ohio State, was a two-time NCAA all-around champion, used up his college eligibility, and is now training in Colorado Springs for the games in 2000.
And a good core group of guys training there because Blaine's there, Cheney Humphrey's there, John McCrady's there. Got some very top gymnasts all training in Colorado Springs. It's nice to be in an environment where everyone has common goals and they can really feed off of each other.
And Blaine really believes that the U.S. men's team can medal in the year 2000.
Well, he has reason to do that. They were so close at the recent World Championships. They were consistent. Only one missed routine at the World Championships for the entire team. A little easier dismount on the floor there. Kind of huffing and puffing. The front tumbling, though, will help him to score well. It should see a pretty decent score here. Very nice first tumbling pass. Handspring, layout with a full twist, punch, layout front, punch 1.5 twist. Easily done.
And Blaine Wilson wraps up the first rotation for the men with a 9.90. So here are the standings for the men after one rotation. Blaine Wilson is in first place with that 9.9 on the floor. Yevgeny Shabayev is in second, followed by John McCready. Coming up, the women are ready for the second rotation. You'll see Shannon Miller on the uneven bars when we return. A reminder tomorrow, the conclusion of the ERA World Professional Gymnastics Championships. Let's check in now with Scott Lasky. He's with Blaine Wilson.
Blaine, you were in China this past week, and you weren't feeling your best. Explain what you were doing there and what happened.
Well, we were there for training camp in China, training with the Chinese national team, and I had a good time up until the last 2 days. I got a little sick, and we just got home Wednesday, so got a little jet lag and still trying to get over my sickness.
You talked earlier, you said you matured recently as a gymnast and as a person. What do you mean exactly?
Well, I'm trying to fix my transitions. You know, back in Atlanta, I was not a clean, gymnast at all. I get in the corners, my head was down, my arms would drop real fast, and, I'm trying to fix all that stuff. And especially with, going out there and hitting my routines, the routines I'm supposed to be doing. And that's gotten a lot better, so.
Thanks a lot.
After one rotation, here are the current standings for the women. Shannon Miller, Dominique Moceanu, and Amy Chow all tied for the lead with 9 nines. The women will now move on to the uneven bars. Shannon Miller will be up first, followed by Lilia Podkopayeva and Dominique Moceanu. Julianne McNamara back with us now. Here's Shannon Miller. Last week in Lowell, Shannon was perfect on the bars, scoring a 10.
She had a great performance. Watch the dismount. You always know on a 10.0 score, you're going to have a stuck dismount.
Here's Miller set to go now. She won the bronze medal on the uneven bars in 1992. That was just one of 5 Olympic medals she won that year. Started her gymnastics career when she was just 5 years old. Her parents got her a trampoline for Christmas, something so simple, but oh, what developed.
That's right, and nothing that she does now is simple. She has tons of difficulty. One of the first moves that you'll see is actually called a giant hop. After she mounts the bar here, she'll completely do a full twist, releasing the bar right there, right into a release move called a ganger. It's a flyaway with a half twist. Another release move called Tkachev. It's difficult because it's a blind release move. Now she'll set up for her dismount by swinging some giant's toe on front with a half twist.
Shannon Miller, she admits to having a perfectionist personality, and at times like this, that's not such a bad thing to have.
Setting up for her dismount, she does a giant swing. Now watch, she'll toe onto the bar, and she'll do a front flip with a half twist, and she just has a little step on the landing. Pulls her sideways.
And the highest score of the competition so far, a 9.95 for Shannon Miller. Lilia Podkopayeva up next on bars. She is in last place after 1 rotation. The first woman ever to be the world, European, and Olympic champion at the same time. In 1996.
There was a free hip hack transition. She'll go into a release move called a ganger. We saw Shannon Miller just perform that.
Podkopayeva had to withdraw from the 1997 World Championships because of an ankle injury, and this is really her first competition since that surgery.
And it looks like she's just trying to get back into her form. It's difficult after time off. Double back dismount. The only mistake you could see on her release move is when she re-grabs the bar. Watch her legs, how they separate. That's a slight deduction. She gets good momentum from her giant swing. She does a nice high tuck double back, but she's capable of twisting it or laying it out.
And for that routine, the judges award Podkopayeva with a 9.6. Here's Dominique Moceanu. Earlier, we mentioned some of the coaching changes in her life. She's also grown 5 inches since Atlanta. She told us about it.
The growth spurt changes all your movements, and for a while I didn't know what was wrong. And I was like, it might be because I'm growing and I'm not feeling stuff, you know? You don't start not to feel what you're doing, like in your movements and stuff. But you get used to it after a while, and it's normal, so.
Dominique also has grown emotionally. She sounds so much more mature. This, however, is the event that has worried her the most in the past.
And she had kind of a funky warm-up. She was making some mistakes, probably feeling a little bit of the stress, the fact that this is not her best event.
Dominique has packed a lot of excitement into her 16 years. In addition to being an Olympic gold medalist, she co-authored her autobiography, An American Champion. She got her driver's license in the past year and still training on an elite level.
And so far doing a good job. She showed a release move, a ganger. She got through the combination she was having problems with in warm-ups. Double layout dismount. This is a big dismount.
Nicely done.
She's very happy that one's over with. She really pulled out a good routine.
Julianne, does that look like an improvement to you?
Big improvement, definitely. She seems like she's enjoying herself a lot more than last week. I think her last week, her leg was hurting her. There's her transition. You have to perform skills on the low bar as well as the high bar. Excellent double layout, perfect body position. Just a hop on the landing.
Moceanu scores a 9.85. Now, she came into this rotation tied for the lead with Miller and Chow. She now trails Miller. Svetlana Boganskaya is up now on the bars. We just saw Dominique Moceanu. Dominique says that she has been inspired throughout her career by Svetlana and her elegant style.
And she is a stunning gymnast. She has beautiful form, beautiful lines. Giant full right into a release move to Tkachev. Look how perfect her body alignment is.
She carries herself the same way out of the gym as she does inside the gym, Juliet, always with her head up high and speaks and carries herself like a champion.
Double tuck dismount, a little bit low in the landing.
Svetlana Boganskaya wants to open up her own gym one day.
The release moves are the most difficult on the uneven bars. She doesn't see the bar until she flies over it. She winds up for her dismount. Again, not a very difficult one. Double back in a tuck position. Opens up a little early.
Boganskaya scores a 9.80 on the uneven bars. Coming up, you'll see the woman they call Awesome Dawsome, Dominique Dawes, on the uneven bars when we return to Toledo.
Last week, a couple of miscues for you, but this week, so far, so good. What's the difference?
I'm just trying to stay calm and trying to go out there and have fun and be relaxed. You know, my coach told me to have fun and have a good time no matter what.
I understand you've got the Goodwill Games as well as the Nationals coming up, so you must be training away.
I'm training and also doing school and stuff, so, I mean, this has been a different side of gymnastics for me. You know, I have a different coach, and I'm really loving it, so it's doing good.
All right, thanks a lot. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Scott. Halfway through the bars rotation. Up next, Amanda Borden. 6 years on the national team, 3 world championship teams. This is it for this 21-year-old. As we mentioned earlier, she's retiring after this competition.
She's brought a lot of personality to the sport. She's a very consistent athlete.
She's had a great approach to this professional career, always saying that as long as I have a good time, as long as I do my best, the scores don't really matter, and it shows in her performances and her attitude every time you see her.
She did a nice release move earlier, the Jaeger flip, giant full, right into another release move to Tkachev. She's setting up for her dismount, toe on front with a half twist.
Amanda Borden. With her coach, Mary Lee Tracy, they've been working together since Amanda was 13 years old.
Her release move is actually a front flip. It's called a Jaeger. She'll drive her heels and flip in a straddled position. She could get a little more height on this dismount by keeping her toes on the bar longer, but a good landing.
And a good score for Amanda Borden, a 9.80. Dominique Dawes getting set to go on the bars now. A 3-time national champion in this event. Dawes, like Dominique Moceanu, is training for the Goodwill Games. It may not be as important for them to win here. They're working on new skills, testing out various moves, working toward the bigger competitions.
There was a free hip, hacked release move. It's very difficult. Giant full. She'll go right into another giant full and a half this time. Now she'll swing down. Again, it's a requirement to do some skills on the low bar, although it seems like a token these days. Double tuck dismount.
That's why they call her Awesome Dawsome. A powerful gymnast. Dawes has a close relationship with her coach, Kelly Hill. They actually moved in together a year before Barcelona to make the training easier.
The reason this is called a reverse hack is she starts going one direction and reverses direction as she flies over the bar. Good form. Look how her legs are together on the dismount, and a great landing.
You can hear the crowd chanting for a 10. It's a 9.9, though, for Dominique Dawes. Here's Yelena Produnova, set to go next on the bars. This is not her best event.
Although she does do some unique moves. We'll see her do a reverse hack. There's a free-up transition move right into another free-up. Now look at her grip. She's got a reverse grip. Now she'll do a reverse hack going the opposite direction. Leg form has been a little bit sloppy. Setting up here for her dismount. Pike double back.
Yelena lives in Round Lake, Russia. She's a typical teenager, though. She likes Madonna, Celine Dion, and the group Scorpions. Wonder how that translates into Russian.
Here's her release move. She does to Tkachev, the same release move we saw earlier, done in a different direction. Has a little bit of a problem on the transition. She's lucky she held on to that. Setting up for her dismount. It's important to get a good giant swing to be able to get the momentum to propel the height in the air. She does it in a pike position, meaning her legs are straight, body piked.
The scores in this rotation have been fairly consistent. It's another 9.8, a good score for Produnova. Amy Chow will conclude this rotation for the women. And Julianne, last week, Amy was spectacular on bars, scoring a perfect 10.
She had it all in this routine. She had such a variety of movements. A beautiful full in, back out dismount.
And that was one of the routines that helped lead Amy Chow to the title in Lowell. Understandably, this is her favorite event. She won the silver medal on bars at the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta.
Hold on tight, you're in for a ride. This routine is packed full of difficulty. I think every time she mounts the bar, she's capable of scoring a 10. Beautiful Stalder work. Piked Jaeger flip. She's beautiful form. Down to her toe point. Setting up for another release move. Dismount. Full and back out.
Amy Chow, a full-time student at Stanford. How she can compete at this level and with this consistency is amazing.
And here's a Stalder blind change. It's very difficult into a high release move. Look how she drops back onto the bar. An excellent dismount. She'll do a full twist on the first flip. Look at the perfect form. Great landing.
And there it is, the first 10 of the competition. Back-to-back 10s, 1 week after the next for Amy Chow. So here are the standings things for the women with one rotation remaining on day one. Amy Chow has inched ahead of Shannon Miller just as she did last week in Lowell, Massachusetts. Dominique Moceanu in third, and Dominique Dawes has moved up to fourth. Stay with us. The men will move to the pommel horse when we come back. Back in Toledo, Amy Chow has been amazing on bars. Another 10 for the second week in a row. She's backstage with Scott Lasky.
Amy, is this like riding a bicycle? Last week you get a perfect 10 on the uneven bars. This week the same thing.
I had a good time out there. I've been training bars, and yeah, it went pretty well.
Now, you're at such a high level right now. Have you definitely thought of not pursuing the 2000 Olympics?
I'm not sure yet, but I'm focusing on school right now, so we'll see.
So you're leaning towards not?
Yeah.
All right. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Scott. Switching back now to the men's competition after one rotation. Blaine Wilson in the lead. Peter Vidmar joins us once again.
And Andrea, it really is no surprise that Blaine is leading so far.
John Roethlisberger getting set to go on the pommel horse. John got married in this past year to Kelly McConnell, who was also a gymnast at the University of Minnesota.
And he had a lot of warm-up time on the pommel horse in the one-touch warm-up. Spent a lot of time, wasn't really secure about his routine. Let's see if he can be a tough competitor like he's always been and hit a routine here. A lot of trouble in warm-ups. So far, no problem. Here's his flare sequence. So far, so good. John's got a great toe point. A little bit heavy, just look a little bit heavy, but I'll tell you, a lot better than his warm-up. Spent a lot of time on that horse beforehand trying to get the bugs out. Looks like he barely did.
Well, that's what the warm-ups are for. John had a very successful collegiate career at the University of Minnesota, three-time NCAA all-around champion.
At the beginning of the shooting, you can see the detail here of his hands. Working up to the pommels. Not a lot of room for error there. 1 inch to one side and you're off the pommel. And if the hand's off the pommel, then the gymnast is completely off the horse.
And Roethlisberger also scores higher than he did on the floor. A 9.7 for Roethlisberger. Up on the pommel horse now, Cheney Humphrey. Tied for 7th place after the first rotation.
And I saw Cheney take a few extra turns on his warm-up on pommel horse, trying to get secure here.
He's been a member of the national team since 1989. Almost made the Olympic team in 1992. Missed by less than a 1/10 of a point, but he was a 1996 Olympian.
And he was devastated then, and that really fueled his training for the 96 games. So far, he's off to a good start. Little bobble there, but he's so strong, he's able to keep that circle going.
Always amazed when you hear all the things these gymnasts do in addition to all the training and the competitions. He writes poetry, he plays guitar, and he's even learning to speak Chinese.
Just got back from China, actually. Well, little bobble on the dismount, but tell you, that was a good routine in terms of muscling through. Cheney's got that power. He uses it well when he has to, especially when he's in trouble. Here's that flare sequence at the end of the routine, hopping down to the end and just powering through the handstand. Helps to be strong.
The score for Cheney is a 9.7. Significantly better than his 9.3 on the floor. And the leader, Blaine Wilson, will be on the horse when we come back to Toledo.
Back in Toledo, here's a look at some of the other pommel horse routines. John McCrady's shoulder surgery didn't affect him too badly on the pommel horse. He scores a 9.55, a nice finish for this routine. And Alexei Vodopayev had some big troubles on the pommel horse. As his feet came around, he slams into the horse, stops all of his momentum, major deduction. And Mihai Baggio, on always one of his better events, the pommel horse, does a good job, able to score a 9.5.
And now here's Blaine Wilson, 23 years old, says he was a bit in awe of the Olympics in '96, but told us he's changed since then.
I've grown up, you know, since the Olympic Games. You know, it's been 2 years, and you know, I feel like I've gotten older, a little bit more mature since then, especially with learning new tricks and learning, you know, just learning about gymnastics in general.
And pommel horse is a very important event for Blaine to see, especially at the beginning, how many skills he can do on one pommel to get bonus points. Starts with a circle. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If he gets to 8, it's a major accomplishment. There's 8 skills in one pommel right there. That's big bonus points. So far, so good for Blaine. Little pike on the circles. Could extend it more. I think he's very good Russian sequences there.
By men's gymnastics standards, he is young at 23. Has he hit his peak, or is he hitting his peak now?
No, he's hitting his peak. He's got a ways to go. He should be even better in Sydney. I think he's really starting to get the confidence that he needs from winning so many competitions now. It just keeps him going. Made it through the routine. Little form break, but he's on his way. There's the 8 skills in one pommel. You can see a really close look at how small the margin of error is as to where he can place his hands. 1/2 inch one way or the other. Either he's off the pommel or he's on top of the other hand, and so it's very difficult.
Hey, Pro Amy. What's up? All the guys.
Another great score for Blaine Wilson, a 9.90.
Watch out, man.
So he hangs on to the lead. Evgeny Shabayev on the horse now. He was in second place after the first rotation.
Had a lot of tough breaks in his career. Wants to pick up and really make a name for himself in the sport. Here's more single palm work. There's 3 skills so far. 4, 5, 6, 7. Can he get to 8? Does it. There he goes. Those 8 skills gives him the extra bonus points.
You mentioned the setbacks he's had. In February of last year, he smacked his left hand on the high bar and broke his thumb. That was just one in a series of injuries.
I'll tell you, and a broken thumb in gymnastics really prevents you from doing most of the skills in the sport, especially where you're grabbing onto pommels or parallel bars or rings. He's doing fine here, though. Looks very good. That's going to score very well. On the final half of his routine, look, he's got a great toe point. Nice extended circles. Here's the flare, taking him up to a handstand. And a little full turn around the pommels. Gives him another bonus.
Shabayev scores a 9.8. That will move him a little closer to Blaine Wilson. Here's Chris Waller, 3-time national champion on the pommel horse. The 1992 Olympics, he placed 5th in this event, but it was so close. He missed the gold medal by just a 1/10 of a point.
And it was so frustrating for him because he was in first after his performance, and one by one, his gymnast came up and knocked him down to second, then the third, and then out of contention for a medal. A great performance, though. It's clearly his best event. Travels across the horse, alternating his hands in and out of the pommels. As opposed to doing that single pommel work, Chris makes use of traveling up and down the horse to get some bonus points. Always had nice clean lines, good toe point, good extension on the scissors. Here's a flare sequence. Working without the pommels, back onto the pommel, full turn, up. He wanted to go to the other side of the horse for his dismount. It's a little bit of a mistake there, but he kept his form, kept his composure. He'll score well. Chris works going back and forward, kind of going coast to coast from one end of the horse to the other, working by alternating his hands in the pommels, then working back forward again. It's difficult facing in the longitudinal direction because he has to clear the horse in both the front and the back of his swing. It's very easy to hit the shins in the back of the swing on the horse, but Chris stays nice and high.
How you doing?
And it is a good score for Waller, a 9.8. Let's go backstage now to Scott Lasky. He's with John Roethlisberger.
John, new wife, new home.
Yep.
What's the new story with the gymnastics career?
There's no new story.
Okay.
I'm right where I was before the '96 Olympic Games. I'm training serious. I want to go for the 2000 Games and, you know, hopefully be a part of that team and be a part of a winning medal experience.
All right. What are some of the things you're really working on now?
Oh, there's so much new stuff. I mean, the new code is just, it's brutal. So, I mean, it's particularly floor and parallel bars for me, but every event, it's going to be total overhaul. And right now, it's a little bit of a struggle, but, you know, you got to stick with it, and it's new for everybody, so it's a great challenge.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Scott. After 2 rotations, here are the standings for the men. Blaine Wilson still in first place. Yevgeny Shabayev holding on to second, and a tie for third, Chris Waller and John Roethlisberger. The men finished day 1 on the still rings. We'll have that when we return to Toledo. Dominique Moceanu has looked impressive in this event, as has Shannon Miller, who set the pace early on the bars. But Amy Chow outdid the field and for the second week in a row scored a perfect 10 and pulled ahead. As expected, the men were dominated by Blaine Wilson, and now he's the guy to beat. Back in Toledo, Ohio, that's the Maumee River. We are here for the ERA World Professional Gymnastics Championships. Welcome back to the CBS Sports Spectacular, everyone. Andrea Joyce along with Peter Vidmar and Julianne McNamara. Julianne, as usual, Amy Chow and Shannon Miller battling it out for the lead. But what about the 2 Dominiques? Both of them training for the Goodwill Games. They look awfully good.
They look great, especially Dominique Moceanu. She's made great improvements from last week. She really looks comfortable. She's getting into her rhythm, looks a lot happier. And Dominique Dawes, she's just picking up from where she left off last week.
And talk about looking good. Blaine Wilson looks like he's going to run away with this competition.
Yeah, I'll tell you, don't expect him to lose any ground on the next event. It's going to be the rings. It's clearly his best event. He was an Olympic finalist on the rings. Right now, it's just a battle for second place.
And here's how things stand for the men. As we mentioned, Blaine Wilson building a comfortable lead. Yevgeny Shabayev in second, followed by Chris Waller and John Roethlisberger. Set to go now on the still rings, John Roethlisberger, member of the national team since 1989. 27 years old. 4-time national all-around champion. What an incredible career he's had.
Yeah, and there was a long stretch where he was clearly the best gymnast in the country. He would win national championships by many points, and he just was the best in the country. And now he's had some struggles, but he's made the decision to go on to Sydney, and so let's look for some very consistent performances from him in the future.
Well, he had said last year that he would only continue as long as his body held up, and as we said earlier, his body has held up remarkably well.
Right, and this is one event where if there are any problems, any creaks in the bones, you're going to feel it on rings. And yet John's looking pretty good. Little miss on the back giant, though. That's going to cost him. He gained some swing there. That took a lot of energy there. Now watch this. Here's his dismount sequence. Left out one of the double backs within the rings. Decided to bail out early and did something different than his warm-up. Just did a double back flip, holding onto the rings into his half-in, half-out dismount.
John is a graduate of the University of Minnesota.
Watch this back upright. He doesn't quite make it up to the handstand, and he's forced then to bail out of the handstand too soon. That generates more swing that he wants, gets him into trouble.
Two words to describe that. Ugly. Rough, baby. Hey, Calvel, how you doing? Yeah, wow.
Roethlisberger was tied for third coming into this rotation, but scores just a 9.50 on the rings. Blaine Wilson ready to go on the still rings. He scored the first 10 of his career on rings in this event last year, and that helped him to go on to win the title.
And although Blaine is not very bulky as an athlete, he's got tremendous strength for rings.
At the 1996 Olympics, Blaine placed 7th in this event.
And there's a reason why, because he's so powerful. A Maltese cross, right up to an inverted cross, up to another Maltese cross, bounce to an iron cross. Look at that, tremendous amount of strength. There's a swing to a handstand. Blaine just makes rings look so easy. Back up rise, no problem. Setting up for his dismount. Let's see what it is this time. Double layout, full twist. No problem for Blaine Wilson.
Also getting ready for the Goodwill Games and the U.S. Nationals that are coming up in August in Indianapolis. So you don't think that's a 10?
Well, he had a problem on his iron cross sequence, and he just had a little struggle there. I don't know if the judges are going to deduct or not. Nice sequence of strength skills, though. Here's his back up rise to a planche. Forward into a Maltese cross. Looks kind of like the planche, but he's a little bit lower. We call that a Maltese cross. To an inverted cross. His dismount was a double layout with a full twist. A half in, half out, laid out. There's the giant dislocate. Nice straight body, too. Easily makes the landing.
Well, it's not a 10, but it's about as close as you can get. A 9.95 for Blaine Wilson. Still to come, the women compete on the floor, but first the men finish up on the rings when we return. Welcome back to the Toledo Sports Arena. Be sure to join us tomorrow as we conclude the ERA World Professional Gymnastics Championships 2 to 4 Eastern Time. Here's Yevgeny Shabayev. We mentioned some of his accomplishments in his career. He did not, however, make the 1996 Russian Olympic team, and he says that that's still a very, very painful memory for him, Peter, not to make that team.
It was a major disappointment, and it was just due to a horrible shoulder injury. He came back fairly soon after and won a very prestigious event called the Chunichi Cup in Japan. It's Japan's biggest international event, and I think that kind of put him back on track, but just has not quite had the career he's hoped for, and that's why he's still training hard and trying to do something leading up to the year 2000. Beautiful back up rise to a handstand. Has a bit of a swing going here. Kills the swing by doing his back up rise to an inverted cross, right to another inverted cross. A little bit high, could be a little bit lower. Whip it into an iron cross. Shoot to a handstand. Setting up for his dismount was a half in, half out. Not too difficult of a dismount. Took a hop on the landing. Not the level of difficulty, for example, of Blaine Wilson or the power, but a very clean performer. The still rings is called the still rings for a reason. The gymnast does not want to generate too much swing. When he does, he has to make sure that he bails out of that inverted cross at the right moment to counteract the swing on the rings, to slow things down. Here he goes into this iron cross. And his dismount was just a half in, half out, a full twisting double back flip. Not exactly state of the art right now, but he makes it quite easily, but takes that hop on the dismount.
And the judges give Shabayev a 9.6. That's his lowest score in this first day of the competition.
Next on the rings, please welcome.
Here's Chris Waller now. As we mentioned earlier, the oldest competitor here, 29 years old, born in Evanston, Illinois.
Rings has not typically been Chris's strongest event.
He had an incredible stretch in his career from 1989 to 1993. He won a USA Gymnastics or an NCAA national title every year.
Yeah, always a very consistent performer. Works very hard, has nice clean technique in gymnastics. They're a little bit weak there on that Maltese. Saw him grimace a little bit. Here's his press to a handstand, getting ready for his dismount. Little weak there. See how much energy he has for his dismounts. A giant dislocate, double layout, no problem.
Chris Waller was in third place, tied with Roethlisberger after 2 rotations. Let's see how he does here with this score on the rings.
Ladies and gentlemen, the old man in tonight's competition, Chris Waller is 29.
And I'll tell you, Andrea, for someone who hasn't really been training seriously since 1996, Chris Waller's done a very good job so far today. Little trouble on his press to a handstand here, but does a really nice dismount. He'll bail from the handstand to a giant dislocate to a double layout, double back flip with the body stretched. And perfect landing. Not bad for Chris.
And it's a 9.7 for Waller. That's one of the higher scores on rings so far for the men.
There we go. I like it.
Here's a look now at how some of the other men fared on the rings a little earlier.
Well, rings is always a strong event for Cheney Humphrey. He's very powerful. Those are 2 consecutive Maltese crosses. And Cheney did a respectable job. This is whip it to an iron cross and got a decent score. Now, Mihai Bacic ran into some major trouble here as he swings to a handstand, gets a lot of swing going on the rings. He had to buckle his arms, does his double front sequence called a Yamawaki, and now he's got tremendous swing going, and that's a deduction, and it's hard to stop that swing. And I talked to John McCready before this competition, and he said that he really couldn't afford to take any risks on the rings with his shoulders, and so he had to really water down the routine just to make sure that those shoulders heal properly after his operation. Only a 9.3. Alexei Vodopayev did a very good routine, very good technique on his swing, but in trying to fulfill his strength requirement, he just didn't quite meet the requirements for these inverted crosses here. He really should be more horizontal on that one there and the one that follows.
Day 1 of the competition is over for the men. Here are the standings. Blaine Wilson, as Peter predicted, has increased his lead over the rest of the field. Shabayev, Waller, and Roethlisberger far behind. Let's head backstage now to Scott Lasky standing by with Blaine.
Blaine, you told us that you went to China, came back from China this week, got sick. Maybe you should consider going to China and getting sick more often.
I don't know about that, you know. But I do feel a little better. You know, at the start of the competition, I was a little tired. You know, we have a lot of time in between routines and stuff, so I get the chance to sit down and hopefully catch a nap or 2.
Coming in as the leader tomorrow, what can we expect from you?
Just come out and do the same thing. You know, I'm going to be doing some big stuff tomorrow, so I look forward to the whole competition. It'll be fun.
Welcome back to Toledo, Ohio, and the ERA World Professional Gymnastics Championships. After 2 rotations, Amy Chow is in the lead. Shannon Miller close behind in 2nd place, followed by Dominique Moceanu and Dominique Dawes. Now here's the order for the women on the floor. Dominique Moceanu will start things off, followed by Svetlana Bovinskaya. Julianne rejoins us now for the last women's rotation. And here's Dominique Moceanu set to go now on the floor. We talked about her growth, Julianne, physically, but she has grown emotionally as well. She's more worldly, wiser, been through a lot of changes, but she says it's made her stronger.
And that was a beautiful whip. 2.5 twist, immediate punch front, very difficult. She looks a lot more confident. Triple twist.
Dominique is really looking forward to being a member of the Olympic team in the year 2000. She says it would mean so much more to her to make that team than it did in '96. In '96, she was so young, in awe of everything, and now she understands what it means to be an Olympian and would love to make that team 2 years from now.
Jump combination, that's a requirement. Now she's setting up for her final tumbling run. Big deep breaths. Front full, immediate pike front. She hangs on to it, trying not to step out.
She has gymnastics genes in her family. Both of her parents were competitive gymnasts in Romania.
The whip back is basically a back handspring with no hands, so it kind of looks like a really low back flip. Right here, she'll tumble right in a 2.5 twist and punch into a front immediately. We saw a lot of the men doing front tumbling combinations. Here's one of those types, front with a full twist, immediate punch, front in a pike position. She over-rotates, but she stays in bounds.
And Dominique Moceanu showing some consistency here in Toledo, a 9.85 on the floor. Up next, Svetlana Boginskaya. She won a silver medal on the floor at the 1988 Olympics.
She is known for her floor exercise. She's very graceful. She's a great dancer. It's a whip through to tuck double back. Beautiful. It's a beautiful double turn.
Svetlana moved to the United States in 1994 to Massachusetts, and she learned to ride horses, and then she moved to Houston in 1995. As we mentioned, she worked with Bella Caroli, and she's still there, but would like one day to move to New York.
Front combination, 2 layout fronts. The women are also getting bonus points for the front combinations, but I personally don't find them as interesting to watch. There's her jump combination, adding twist to it. A lot of the time, gymnasts will do dance moves in the corners before their last tumbling run. Get that last burst of energy, double backflip.
Svetlana Boginskaya, 3-time Olympian. 5 Olympic medals, 7 World Championship medals.
Whenever you see a whip back, you're increasing the level of difficulty in the pass. It's much harder to tumble out of that whip right there than it is out of a back handspring, right into a high double backflip. Last pass is always the toughest, trying to get your energy. She gets good height. Again, a difficult double back at the end.
And Boginskaya wraps up her first day of competition with a 9.8. She is not happy with that score. Bella kind of shaking his head as well. Here's Amanda Borden. In Atlanta, Amanda finished 10th on the floor. This is her favorite event. It's been an interesting year for Amanda. She's been working and training with Kim Zemeskal in Cincinnati. Kim Zemeskal attempting a comeback. We saw her last week in Lowell, Massachusetts.
Whip through, tuck double back. Amanda has a very pleasant style. She is what we call a clean gymnast. Perfect form.
She's had plenty of ups and downs in her career as well. Captain of the 96 gold medal Olympic team, but was bumped from the 92 team to make room for a couple of injured veterans. She almost quit back then, didn't she, Julianne? She was devastated by that.
It was very disappointing, but in a lot of ways it probably made her a lot stronger, a lot more motivated, and she has such a great attitude anyways.
USA Gymnastics has since changed the rules so that that would not happen again.
Double back dismount. Little low on the landing.
'21-year-old Amanda Borden. Take a good look. You'll only see her compete one more day.
From Cincinnati, Ohio.
She gets good height on her first pass. She goes whip right through, tuck double back. Nice landing. She has a good, strong run. Very clean form. Another high double back. Opens up a little early, which makes her step forward.
And the judges award Amanda Borden with a 9.7 on the floor. Stay with us. Still to come, the leader in the competition, Amy Chow, on the floor.
Next on the floor exercise, please.
Up now on the floor, Dominique Dawes. At the 1996 Olympics, Dominique won the bronze medal on the floor. She was the first African-American gymnast to win an individual event medal.
And I think this is the event that coined her the name Awesome Dawsome. I remember her as a junior gymnast. She was just as exciting, tumbling and always in combinations. 2.5 twist, immediate punch front. It's a triple turn. It's very difficult.
Dominique Dawes, also a 4-time national champion on the floor.
She's so strong that it really has enabled her to perform through some rough times, some injuries. Hike double back.
Dominique Dawes.
She's going to twist 2.5 times in the air. When she drops out of the flip, she'll immediately punch front, right there. It's very difficult to do a double back at the end of a routine. She does it in a pike position, again increasing the difficulty.
So Dominique Dawes scores a 9.7 on the floor. The crowd very unhappy with that score. Ready to go next on the floor, Yelena Prodanova. This is one of her best events, really shows off her skills and her flexibility.
She really does enjoy herself. This is one of her favorite events. Watch this, Arabian double front, immediate punch front. A big mistake, she fell on that, but I can't tell you how difficult that is. Unbelievable.
18 years old,
front full twist, immediate front.
We mentioned earlier she was the bronze all-around at the World Championships last year. Is she just hitting her peak?
She definitely is. I think if she can stay healthy, she still has a lot left in her. She's having a lot of problems with her right ankle, especially on this event. It's very difficult. So much impact. Taking a breather. Pretty long pause there. Another double front.
Elena trained for a long time with Lavrov and Veronika Yakubova.
You can see her ankle is really playing up on her. She's been hobbling around during the warm-ups.
Well, she's really limping now.
Those 2 falls couldn't have helped. This is an amazing pass, just to do a double front, but she does it she does a half turn, an Arabian double front. Now watch, she'll punch immediately into the punch front. Looked like she slipped a little bit on the takeoff, and that's considered a fall. And again, another fall, this time a double front out of a front handspring. Very difficult. She gets good block. Again, you can almost see her lifting her right ankle up off on the takeoff. It's very painful. Definitely affected her performance.
For Prodanova, it's a 9.0, so a disappointing first day of the competition for the teenager from Russia. Here's Amy Chow. Last week, Chow had a perfect floor performance to go with her 10 on the bars, and that clinched the title for her.
She was very relaxed last week, bringing out more of a performance quality. And that same attitude has been carried over to this week.
Amy, quiet, a bit on the shy side, and her biggest challenge since turning pro was to add some excitement to her floor routines. This is one of her new routines for this season.
Let's see if she mounts with whip through. Hiked full in, a very difficult pass.
Amy's the daughter of Nelson and Susan Chow, both from Hong Kong. They met while they were students at San Jose State. She's got a younger brother, Kevin, who's also a gymnast.
Triple twist.
Julianne, you watch her out there on the floor, and with so much consistency in all of these events, do you suspect that she might change her mind and decide to continue competing? Because she said that she won't be.
Well, at this point, she seems like she's been pretty definite on the fact that she's going to school at Stanford and continuing on with the rest of her life. But, you know, stranger things have happened.
She has the skills, though, don't you think, to...
She definitely does, and she's very healthy, strong still. Double twist.
Amy Chow. Her trademark is silent power, but she has this crowd on its feet. Nothing silent about that performance at all.
And this is a great pass. She does a whip back right there, and she'll continue through double back with a full twist on the first flip, and she does it in a piked position. Last pass, she'll do a laid out backflip. See if you can count 2 twists in the air.
Exercise for Amy Chow, 10.
The second 10 of the competition for Amy Chow. She has been incredible. And when we return, you'll see Shannon Miller on the floor. That's next.
Championship, sponsored by ERA Real Estate, proud sponsor of the ERA Championship Series, and by Head & Shoulders, because great hair can't have flakes.
The Toledo Sports Arena still buzzing over Amy Chow's 10 on the floor. Next up, Shannon Miller. Now we know she's capable of the same. She did it last week, Julianne, in Lowell.
And she did it with flair. Combination tumbling. She tumbles right out of this front flip into a combination series. Steps out the layout. This is one of many 10s Shannon Miller has received.
Shannon Miller ready to complete her first day of competition. She won the bronze medal at the 1992 Olympics on the floor. And we talked earlier about Dominique Moceanu's growth spurt. Well, Shannon can identify with that. She was 4-6 in Barcelona, 5-1 in Atlanta, but she has used that to give her more power in events like the floor.
Pulling back out, big, huge steps. And of course, she went out of bounds. That's a 10th for each foot out. So that is a major deduction there.
Well, even with a perfect score here, she would not be able to catch Amy Chow in this first day of competition, but this certainly won't be a 10. Shannon Miller has a new book out. It's called Winning Every Day. She told us that it's not so much about winning medals, but about feeling like you accomplished something every day of your life. She's been a great ambassador for the sport and a terrific role model for young gymnasts.
So whip half right into a front flip. This, of all the 4 disciplines in women's gymnastics, I think is Shannon's weakest event, although it's hard to say that she's weak on any event. Front full twist.
Not the kind of performance we're used to seeing from Shannon Miller. She says that she is leaving the door open for the Olympics in the year 2000, but only if she can help the team, only if she feels like she could contribute.
It's almost like she knew she lacked some height in the air and tried to overcompensate by pulling the flip around. Let's see if she gets good drive from her arms. She doesn't get great height, but she pulls it around and her feet come underneath her. Big deductions.
.975 for Shannon Miller, and that will tie her with Moceanu for second. Last up on the floor now, Lilia Podkopayeva, affectionately called Lily Pod. She is the defending Olympic champion on the floor.
She starts out with a very difficult double front flip. You don't see many of these. Mounted right over it. Oh. She is hurt.
Well, we mentioned earlier that she had ankle surgery back in February to remove bone spurs. And Julianne, you had suspected that she might not have been fully recovered.
Well, she came back so quickly, and now she still seems like she's being very tentative on that foot. She can barely land on it. I'm surprised that she's continuing with this exercise.
Podkopayeva has really been a symbol of national pride in her home country of Ukraine. Quite a celebrity there.
Andrea, it's the nature of the sport for the gymnast to work through pain like this, much like Carrie Strug did in the '96 games in Atlanta.
But in a situation like this, does she risk further injury, though, by continuing?
Sometimes she can, but usually they're the best judge of that. And she obviously has felt good enough to continue.
Well, we had not noticed Lilia limping much here in Toledo, but she is obviously in some pain now after that floor routine.
This has to be very emotional for her after what she's been through coming back from the injury. I wouldn't want to speculate now on what's happened with her ankle, but I doubt she would take the risk of competing tomorrow.
2 more rotations for the women tomorrow. Beam and floor performance.
She just had no height in the air, barely was lucky she rotated as far over as she did.
You can see her not putting any weight at all on that ankle.
And I would have to say that she probably hurt it on the takeoff of that flip.
So it's a 9.0 for Podkapayeva, a disappointing way to end this day of competition, to say the least, and it remains to be seen if this is the last we'll see of her in this competition. So at the end of day 1, here are the standings for the women. A very impressive performance by Amy Chow, 29.9 out of a possible 32 tens gives her the lead. Shannon Miller, faltering on the floor, finds herself in a tie for second with an improving Dominique Moceanu. Scott Lasky is standing by with Amy Chow.
Just another amazing day for Amy Chow. 2 tens last week, 2 more today. Why is everything going so right for you?
I don't know. I'm having a good time at these meets, and but we still have another day, so.
Now, last week, you came into day 2 behind Shannon Miller. Today, you'll be on top for tomorrow. What do you think of that?
Well, it's the same plan. Go out there and try to hit my routines and see how things go.
All right, good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Julianne, your final thoughts.
A great all-round performance today by Amy Chow. It's nice to see her get the attention she so deserves. Her gymnastics speaks for itself, but there's still another day to go.
And Peter, on the men's side, it's been all Blaine Wilson.
And no surprises here. Blaine's the clear leader of USA Gymnastics right now. Rings, he makes it look so easy.